Folks, joining us on the phone line right now from South Carolina is Representative Joseph H. Neal, and also via Skype is Dr. Jason Johnson, professor of political science at Hiram College and a longtime friend of Reverend Pinckney. Representative Neal, I want to go to you first. Give us a sense of having to stand there and deal with your friend being wheeled into the State House in a casket, as opposed to just a week ago, seeing him walk in, seeing him being full of life and mixing with his colleagues.
Good morning, Robert. Good morning, Roland. I want to be clear. Clementa was a very good friend. I was his friend from the time that he was in college and worked as a page in the South Carolina House, through his career as a representative and on into the Senate. A good friend who stood for justice and fairness, who worked for public policies that benefited everyday people. To see him cut down in life in his own church, brought into the State House, backstairs into the rotunda, just tore my heart out, and I think the heart of most of us in that legislature. He was the kind of person who cared about everyone, who could as easily reach across the aisle as he could his own desk. He was a consensus builder, and as a result, things in South Carolina will be different with his loss.
Jason Johnson, you worked on campaigns with Reverend Pinckney, and you knew him very, very well. Please share that with our audience.
You know, this is, and I express condolences to everybody. This is probably the hardest hits I've ever done. It's the difference between sort of talking about 9/11 in the abstract and actually losing somebody in one of the towers. You know, the first campaign I ever ran was for Clem back in '97, and we were kids. And he was one of the most noble, considerate, loving people you would ever meet. He had this booming Jeffrey Holder kind of voice that every time he spoke, it made you smile. It filled you up with love and appreciation. And on a personal level, this is a painful loss. But to go along with what your other guest said, on a political level, it is even worse. He was a star in that state. He was an inspiration for folks from Jasper County. And he was not only a man of God, but he was a man of policy. And so we can't forget in our personal pain that this was an assassination. And the greatest way that we can praise and honor him and the other people who lost their lives is to keep these politicians' feet to the fire about the very things that Clem fought for throughout his entire life.
Representative Neal and Jason, we were just talking about this conversation, and folks are talking about, well, you know, flag is coming down, and I just fundamentally believe that what is going to take place is this is forcing a wide re-examination of how America has coexisted with hatred, has coexisted with bigotry and racism, and we have covered it up, dressed it up, and put on a nice, cute suit and tie and bonnet, and some nice shoes and bobby socks, and said, "Oh no, this is our history." Do both of you believe that, although we mourn the death of the Emanuel 9, that it is forcing actual change in America to confront its past?
I do believe that. I believe that the question as to whether or not that Confederate flag actually has a relationship to hatred and violence has been answered, and it's been answered in a way that America can no longer deny. That flag has served as an icon of hatred and division, and now that is plain to see for everyone. Now we move to the public policies that flag and what it represents has impacted. Access to health care, access to quality education, access to economic development for people of color. Those kinds of issues have all been masked by racism, masked by the Confederate mythology that flag represents. And now comes the hard part of re-examining the public policies that are affecting the lives of people in this country, and particularly in the South, in states like South Carolina. That hard part now begins.
Jason.
Yeah, Roland, just to piggyback exactly off what the representative said, the other part of this is how serious our nation will be in the prosecution of this young man and the people associated with him. And you look at what just happened yesterday with the Boston bomber. They didn't just hunt that kid down. They leaned on his roommates. They leaned on every single person in his life. They threatened people. They deported people because they were going to root out everything associated with that Boston bomber.
There you go.
Let's see that happen. Let's see all these roommates and friends and family members who we're aware of, who may have helped him buy guns, who may have helped him move. Let's see our federal government prosecute and root these people out. And I will also add this, because this was an act of terrorism and it was an assassination. We in this country have hunted after every single mosque, every Muslim group in the country that's even remotely associated with Hamas or Palestine. Let's go after these Council of Conservative Christians who give money to the Republic. Let's hunt down the money. Let's hunt down the people. When this country is as aggressive in pursuing the people who committed this act as they are with foreign terrorism, then we'll really know that progress has been made.
And Jason, and that's why the FBI director has to actually call it terrorism.
Exactly.
And not trying to call it something else. Jason Johnson, Representative Neal, I really appreciate you being right here on News 1 Now TV 1. Thanks a lot.
Thank you.
Thank you.